What's up, trade crew? Welcome back to the HVAC R&D podcast, hosted by yours truly, Rhydon Atzenhoffer. And this week on the show, I have a content and brand leader that is super passionate about telling stories of people in the trades. So let's get it going. Whether you're an original trade crew member who's been rocking with me since the early days, or you just stumbled across this podcast today, welcome to the show. And this show and this industry are built on great people and great stories. No matter where you find yourself in the world of the trades, whether you're a contractor, distributor, or manufacturer, if you've got a story to tell, HVAC R&D has a microphone ready for you. And here, it's all about collaboration over competition. This show is not afraid to challenge the norm and not afraid to shift the mindset of the industry if it helps to push all of us forward together. Big thank you to all the brands that keep the mics hot and the stories rolling around here. Thank you to LiveSwitch, JPL Flex, Diversitech, RLS Rapid Locking System, True Nature Meat Company, and W Energy. And don't you know it, everybody, HVAC R&D is headed back to the 2026 AHR Expo in Las Vegas. I'll be live in the podcast pavilion at 11 a.m. on Monday and Tuesday, and back with the AHR Workforce Development Team for the 5th year in a row on Wednesday morning. I'll be out roaming the showroom floor the rest of the time, so stop me, say what's up, let's grab a selfie, because unfortunately for a lot of us, this is the only time we get to see each other in person. And thank you for listening on whatever your platform is. Please like, follow, or subscribe to the show, drop me a review, leave me a comment, come back for more killer episodes just like the one you're about to hear. And please make sure to follow the show at hvac.rnd on Instagram and TikTok, and as the HVAC R&D podcast on LinkedIn and Facebook. All right, trade crew, let's get this show started and ramble on. So what's up, trade crew? Welcome back to the HVAC R&D podcast. And today we welcome RC Victorino, the Director of Brand Content and Communications at BuildOps. RC is a former journalist turned B2B tech specialist and strategist who now spends his time shaping narratives that elevate the skilled trades. With over a decade of experience building trust through content, he's now focused on spotlighting the real stories behind HVAC, plumbing, construction, and electrical professionals, the skilled men and women who keep the world running. He's a passionate communicator, strategic thinker, seems to be a diehard Mariners fan. I just learned he's an Arsenal fan. So
No, Tottenham.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Oh,
I did it.
My
Sorry.
heart.
Sorry. I just wanted to hurt someone's feelings. I really just wanted to. He already beat me up for being a Liverpool fan, so I had to hurt his feelings a little bit. But today we're bringing him on the HVAC R&D podcast hot seat to talk about branding in the trades, future of content, and why trust isn't earned on the job. It's built through every story that we tell. We'll get the other sports part of it out of the way. So, reading that you were a Mariners fan, I grew up with a Ken Griffey Jr. poster on my wall. I was also a huge fan of the kid. Between him, Ichiro, Buhner, all the legends, even the blown up seagull here and there, we could talk about that as well.
Right.
Who's your all-time Mariner?
Ichiro. But for context, like I grew up in the Northeast, so I grew up born and raised a Yankee fan, moved to Boston, became a Red Sox fan. So obviously I hated myself.
It's okay, but I'm a Sox fan too, so we're all right.
There you go. So baseball was a very strange thing for me because there's a very passionate fan base out there for both ends, and I had a life story for both. So Mariners became like my safe space, like my safety blanket. It's like, okay, very far away, and never been to the World Series. I can like them, and I'm not offending anybody here. But I've been a long time Mariner fan, for quite some time. Ichiro, I'm a lover of hits, regardless. Yep. So his science of hitting is beautiful, much like Ted Williams. So yeah, Ichiro all the way.
Well, and even to this day, he is still absolutely legendary. I've seen
he's one of the best players on the team somehow. He's really good.
Still seeing all of his stuff, having gone back home and in the Japanese league, is fantastic.
Yeah.
I think I'm trying to think, it was him and a bunch of legends played a little league team or something in some kind of spectacle, and they absolutely just crushed these kids. And I was like, of course that's what was going to happen. What did you think was going to happen?
Lovely.
What made you jump from journalism into B2B tech, and how did that lead you into the skilled trade space?
I started in journalism back when the internet was still not really much of a thing. My second day on the job as a journalist was 9/11, actually. Which was intense, but also quite an honor to find the the storytelling and the madness, which is what I'm passionate about doing. But during the first few years of journalism, like, the writing was on the wall even back then, right? The larger sites, the larger publications, the Times, et cetera, were doing much more web-based stuff. You could see it was only time. It was inevitable that print was going away, and that because of that, newsrooms are going to look vastly different. So like at that point I was in my young 20s. I'm not thinking about tomorrow. I'm thinking about like, where am I going to be in 10, 15 years? And so like right off the bat, I was like, there's got to be something beyond this where I can still be a writer. Since I was 5 years old, I've always just wanted to be a writer. Like I remember telling my mom, like, if I can just get paid to write, I'm a happy person. And so I was looking into alternatives to that. I found at this point, there was like it was called Elance. It's now Upwork, but it was called Elance at the time. And people would pay you, let's say like $25 or $30 an article to do keyword based content. Like the things I know about hardwood flooring would surprise you, just because people would pay me to like do these weird like things like 10 tips about bamboo, and like, which is a very hard wood, by the way. And so like I started doing that. It was great. It paid some of the bills. It was pretty easy at that point. And this was pre-AI. So it was quite literally a human being, me writing this stuff from the get. But then I don't know. I think I inherited my mom's side of curiosity and how does that work? And so I wanted to find out why people were paying me to do this. And so I started, because I didn't have a background in marketing whatsoever. So I started doing some research on why they're asking me to do this. Like, what was the value of this? Like, what was this bringing to their businesses and what have you? And that got me into essentially content marketing in general, and marketing in a larger scope. And so I ended up joining an agency who was big into marketing, big into content, specifically with startups. And I learned so much from them, just basically in terms of like how to create copy and content that really actually moves the needle, rather than just phoning it in. A lot of these articles I wrote before were just like, very surface level, again, like written for search engines. This agency flipped the script for me, really made me like understand like, wow, people actually do care about good content and yet still want to rank and et cetera. And then I just found my way into a couple different startups here and there from that agency. Imperfect Foods and Density were a couple of these previous ones. And then as I was thinking about my next move, my role is essentially a storyteller. My goal is to tell the story of the company I work for, but through the perspective and lens of my audience. So I'm really telling their story. And so who I'm writing for matters a lot to me. That is my day. That is how I invest my time. And when the opportunity for BuildOps came along, this is not a population that I know very well. Like I'm not a handy person. I'm not a mechanical person. I'm not a person that does things well with my hands. And so the journalist in me is like, oh yes, like that's what I was born to do, is find out more about things that I don't know about and translate that into stories and content that other people can better understand. And plus, like, there are a lot of tools that I use that I love. Asana, for example, is a tool that I absolutely adore. I'm not sure I could ever write or work for Asana because the audience is me. And like, I'm a dime a dozen. Like, there's so many tools I use. Like, it's not very exciting to write for the content person who sits behind a desk all day long. It is exciting to write about a person who goes out in the field and does meaningful work with data centers, with hospitals, which is unbelievable. So to really get to tell those stories, that opportunity was something that I could not pass up. And to be frank, it's delivered in spades for sure. It's definitely exactly what I thought it would be.
Well, and I completely understand your passion, because I've felt that way in many different years trying to write stuff. I know, talking about, like you said, some things seem like an article you're just building for search engines. I remember writing like 5 players that Tottenham should sign in January to help them get into the top 4. I remember
good old
that.
listicles. Yep.
Yeah, I remember all that stuff. So, as you started with BuildOps, what was your first impression of just really the trades industry and the people in it?
Twofold. Number one, like if I think about it from my lens perspective and like what I do for work, underrepresented. Like the threshold for quality for what I do is pretty low in the trades. So to do really good content and marketing in this industry is pretty easy when you compare it to what other people are doing across the trades. So from that perspective, I think the threshold was low. But in terms of like, I'm I guess delightfully surprised by whom I'm talking with all the time in the trades. I think that, and I think that I'm not the only one. I have a and I can't even necessarily define it within like a core few words, but I have like in my mind's eye, a concept of what it means to be someone who works in the trades. And I think that person is gruff, and I think that person like doesn't have time to talk, and the person is like very stoic, perhaps even, or like whatever it may be. And that is not the case. That is the case for some people, just like it is in any industry. Like there's not a cookie cutter definition of who it is in the trades. The amount of people who I talk to are quite literally passionate, who are quite literally like, I don't know, just so accessible and like eager to talk. And the amount of times that the conversations that I talk with these folks rotate around loyalty to service to the people whom they work for and to the people who work for them is just so impressive, and something I do not and have not seen in any other industry. And that is a thing that I'm trying to capture so much and so well, is this dedication to service, essentially. I love it so much.
You know, I work in wholesale distribution, but I grew up a contractor's kid. So I saw it from one lens before moving into distribution. And there's a lot of talk in distribution now how a lot of this industry is being pushed into being more transactional, being less relationship based, which in my opinion breaks my heart, because I've been so successful in distribution because I understood the desire to have a true partnership and a relationship with the people that not only you work with, but the people that you buy from, that supports your business and help you have the things you need to have. Digging down into those things, it's positive for someone of even my background to hear someone like yourself that's coming into this. And one of the things that you're most pleasantly surprised with is that perspective of people.
Yeah.
And like you said, I think the tradespeople are very sometimes misrepresented as well as underrepresented.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of times when you finally start getting a tradesperson to open up and talk, you really start to realize the depth that they have as a person. And a lot of times I think that's glazed over with different things.
100%. I think we had Mike Rowe. We were fortunate enough to have Mike Rowe at our user conference a few months ago. And he talked about at the keynote about how, there's a storytelling problem with the trades to begin with. And I think that, and actually I just was talking to someone for my own podcast yesterday that was saying something similar, how like, we don't do enough of quite literally like, I don't know, like a day in a life experience. Like no one, when you say you work in the trades or you say like in the trades, like, what does that mean? People have misconceptions of what that is versus like what literally like sometimes it's really exciting work. It's like, you're in this thing, working on this chiller, for example, for hours, for the whole day. And like, you're like, and also there's no one solution to that problem that you have to address, right? Like it's very much like a software engineer has to come in and be like, all right, well, this is a bug. I have to figure out how to fix it. It's not like there's a playbook where it's like, all right, well, this is quite literally what I have to do to solve it. Oftentimes it's your own intelligence, which is why another thing that I'm so passionate about trying to capture and tell is that what the trades are is like this beautiful, wonderful symphony of both hands-on physical work and intelligence, precision, right? Like if you're 1 degree off from something, well, that's problematic. That's going to cascade into bigger issues longer term. So you need to have that merger of both brains and brawn, which again, not many professions have that. So it's an honor to get to talk to the folks who master that craft.
Since 1961, JP Lamborn Company has been the name behind some of the best flexible duct products in the business. A third-generation family-owned company that built its legacy on integrity, innovation, and service. That same spirit drives them today, with antimicrobial technology, top-tier materials, and a relentless focus on quality. When contractors need a product they can stand behind, JPL delivers. It's more than just flex duct, it's peace of mind. JPL, the name you know, the quality you trust, and the flex that delivers. And you're right. Like I said, there's so many people in the trades that if someone on the street hears them talk and they've got a weird southern drawl, they just assume that he's not intelligent. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of assumptions made about people in the trades that they miss the fact that the things that you do in the trades, not only that you learn to do with your hands, but the things you have to understand how to do, the mathematical formulas and equations and everything else. People don't give tradespeople the credit for what they learn and understand and comprehend of how to do and how to fix.
100%.
From your view, what does it really mean to build a brand in the skilled trades?
To build a brand in the skilled trades, well, to build the brand in anywhere would be to to ensure that people think about you when they need something like you is really important. And then when they think about you, they have positive responses to that. An old axiom, and I'll paraphrase, is about like brand is really about like what people say about you when you're not in the room, right? Because you could do all sorts of things where you own the conversation, where you like shove down these ads and these email drip campaigns and whatever it may be, that kind of forces people to think about you. But if you do it in a way that's very aggressive, and if you have sales folks who constantly the cold call, and that's the only experience they have with your brand, in the end, people are not going to love that brand. They're not going to be excited about it. They might remember you, but doesn't mean that they want to remember you. So you have to have that careful balance where you are top of mind for people, but when you are top of mind for people, they're happy that you're there, right? And that's a tricky balance because, I mean, especially like, so for my specific world, where like, we're a startup, so like we have very aggressive goals for growth, right? And so we need to grow extremely fast. That is just that. But I'm sure that every company in the world wants to grow anyway. You want to think about how to increase pipeline, how to increase revenue. But though, and as important as those are short and medium term things. You need to always factor in that long term consequence of like, is this scalable? Or like, because the goal is basically people going to come out and find you on their own. Like, you can't consistently keep on adding more salespeople. You can't keep on consistently adding more, whatever it may be, to support this growth. You need to have people being able to be your customers, to be your best evangelists. You need people to be able to find you easily and be like, yes, this is exactly what I want. That's what's scalable. So as much as you want to grow like these like short-term, medium-term goals to get revenue, brand is what allows you to do this growth at a much more scalable, functional way.
Well, that's really kind of your difference between talking about marketing or actually positioning a company. It's
Yeah,
one thing to just throw the name out there, but it's a different thing to actually have a purpose behind how you're doing the old throw the name out there.
that's right. That's right. Yeah.
So what's the first step you'd recommend to a contractor or technician that's wanting to start shaping their story? Let's say it's content creator that's wanting to start his own business, but he's still working on getting his license, but he's trying to think of a way to start building his footprint.
I mean, there's two streams of thought here, and I can present both, and then I can tell you which one I think is ideal. I think there is the more methodical approach where you're like, okay, well, let me see where the white space is, which basically means like, let me go figure out like among the competitors and define competitors however you may see fit, your industry, your region, whatever it may be. What is the messaging out there right now, and then what are they missing? That's the white space. That's the things that's those are the areas that you could really lean into and be like, this is the positioning that I think that I can really make noise in because no one else is, and yet it's relevant. I believe it's relevant for my prospects and customers. So that is an effective way to do that. And so you could dive into that. If you have no other historical information about your customers or prospects, if you have an existing business where you have customers and prospects and you're just looking to grow a little bit more, I would really urge you to like, I don't know if folks here use Gong or anything like that, but if you do record phone calls or have any kind of record mechanism for conversations, go through those conversations. Don't ask your employees or your colleagues to infer what they got from a conversation, because they're going to put in their filters of like whatever they define words. You want to know the literal words people are using when they're talking about the problems that they're trying to solve, when they're talking about your company. You want those words. You want those words to show up in your social media posts, on your web pages, et cetera, because that way when people are reviewing, they're like, oh crap, that's like literally what I was thinking right now. It's as critical as like quite literally the actual phrases. Now, those are all methodical, and I'm actually pretty passionate about that second one in terms of like mining existing conversations if you can have them. Even Reddit, by the way, things like Reddit and like forums are actually great places to mine like true word choice that people use. But there's another train of thought. And I think that like, I don't want to undersell this one, is like, and you and I talked about this a little bit prior to recording, but authenticity. Just go out and be yourself. Don't over engineer to be marketing or to be content or to be brand, because it'll just come out as trash. Just be, what is the thing that you want to talk about regularly? What is the thing that you can talk about regularly? Then just do it. Because in this age of AI slop, honestly, like it's very easy for everyone to just be quote unquote an expert on whatever. but all that expertise is going to sound the same. It's all just crap. What's going to make each brand stand out is just you being you. So don't work too hard to like try to like fill a gap that doesn't align to who you are or what you know or what you want to do. Find the thing that you are willing to invest some time in. And if you're willing to do it, then chances are it's going to sound fantastic and great.
Why do you think so many trades companies struggle to show who they really are? Do you think some of that's because of we've all become armchair quarterbacks with AI, or is it really just people are afraid to share their story?
I think afraid might be that, yes, but I think that afraid might not be the best word in terms of like, they're not convinced that people care. Right.
See that.
I think that might be it. Like, no, they don't care about that. They just want to know and insert whatever it is they think that they want to know. I think they're underselling the true value of human to human connection. And that's actually what makes people, in the end, people come to some decisions based on their wallet, but in the end, they pull the trigger based on their gut.
Yep.
And that's
people
just
buy
science.
From people. Yeah, people buy from people.
That's just science. So unless we can understand and feel the connection to the human being, we're not going to convert anyway. And so I think it could be a fear, but I think it's a little bit more of folks in the trades don't really think that there's value in being, to expose what they really think or feel. I love this whole idea. Like it's a thing in tech as well, which is like build in public, where you quite literally like talk about your faults and your where you messed up and like what you're working on next, whatever. That's really cool. Like imagine like if technicians did that, like in the field, and they just captured themselves and did some sort of like Instagram feed thing where they're working on a system and they kind of messed up a little bit. And like that's really cool stuff. And not only is that an attractive thing that gets like it feeds the algorithm, all that things like that. But like for anybody who's like looking for more people to join their company, and I can't imagine who's not, because there's a labor shortage. Letting them knowing that they have a platform to be themselves, and also knowing that they can do things like, expose like if they've made an error or like they're whatever they may be, and they have a supportive, collaborative culture that they can be a part of. Folks want to work for those folks for sure. Like, folks are still individuals who want to work for places where they feel more than just a paycheck. Yes, skilled labor is a great paycheck, and skilled labor, you can certainly get paid well, and all those things matter. Again, yes, dollar bills matter, but man, if I feel like I have to lose my identity or I'm bored, or like in the end, I'm going to ship to a different job. So the more that people feel like they're joining a company that supports them as an individual, I think that it also becomes a great recruiting tool as well.
Well, and I've seen now that we have the Meta glasses have come out and some things like that. I've started to see some friends of mine that are content creators that have been working on stuff, and HVAC Slim the other day put up one about a mini split. It's like, I've not really messed with a bunch of these, but I guess we're going to learn together. And then he films, him working on it.
Love it.
Because he said, sometimes you've got to screw it up. And he's like, I guess we'll just screw this one up together. And we'll see if we fix it. But I think those things that we're seeing more and more technicians are having access to that. Some companies don't want their technicians filming stuff in the field and posting it. I get all that.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It depends on the company you work for, whether you work for yourself or people's philosophies on that. But I think the more that we see some things like that, you start just getting into the fact that we're not all perfect. And a lot of times you're learning a lot of things on the job in the trades too. It's not just a book smart thing that you can take it out and apply it. Because there's, like you said earlier, there's 10 different ways to solve the same problem. It just depends what version of that problem you got.
Yeah. TikTok came about because Instagram was the perfection feed, and everyone's like, this is not real life. This is not real life. And so that entire movement with TikTok, which now obviously is now been co-opted to different things, but like is about like, and some of the best performing content, all of the best performing content that we have personally is not the very fancy post-edited hypertext, all sorts of cool looking stuff. It's just someone normal. Like we just had the other day, one of our account executives just walking down the street and talking about what he's going to be talking about on our live demo this week. And it performed great because it's a human being in a human being setting doing human being things. So that absolutely, the less we have to worry about, like, and this is a godsend. Like, most folks in the trades don't have a budget allotted for, fancy designers and fancy videographers and all that stuff like that. You don't need it. You don't need it. Like, the more you just get right to the root of the reality, the more effective that content will be, and the more true your brand will come across as.
We've said it from the beginning. It's the more authentic your content is, and the more authentic your brand is when you go to, whether you're trying to market to the public, you're trying to market to another business. If people see who you are and what your values are and what you bring to the table, that's where you're more likely to have it actually be effective.
Yeah.
What's your day-to-day like as a director of brand content and communication for BuildOps?
I do a lot less writing, but also, I mean, we should talk about writing and AI, because I am not against AI, and I'd love to talk about that in a little bit and figure out how folks can actually use that tool like a superpower, to be honest with you. But my day to day, I mean, I have a team that includes like a social media manager. I have a dedicated social media manager, which is fantastic. First time I've ever really worked directly with a dedicated social media. Usually it's a thing that I would take on top of other things. And you can see the difference. You can see the incredible difference in someone who's quite dedicated to this, this distribution channel, this array of distribution channels. And then I have a full-time content writer as well. And then we have a videographer and designer that we outsource with. And my day-to-day is mostly essentially ensuring that they have the space and information to do their jobs correctly, and to do it in a way that's not like in silos. That's really important, right? Like, if you're doing something on social media, like, why are we not doing that also in the blog or for our newsletter? Or how is this impacting my product marketing team, and et cetera? So my goal is essentially knock down these silos, ensure that my team is not getting inundated with too many requests that stops them from doing what they want to do. And then, I mean, long story short, like, I'm just ingesting, whether it be from customers or prospects or like my colleagues, what is it that they want to say? What are they talking about? What are the big things? Like, data centers is a big thing right now. Like, AI is obviously a very big thing right now. And then how can I create some sort of like themed story per month to propose to my team, to be like, all right, this is what I'm thinking about. This is why I want to do this. Product is having this new product come out next month, so I want to make sure we have something for this. Sales is really saying that this has been a common question in conversations. So, like, I want to do this story. I want to have a webinar here. I want to have a couple op-eds for my CEO. I want a blog post. I want some videos. Prove me wrong. Tell me, or make it better. Like, what can we do? And then we have these meetings where we flesh out to be like, what's reality? Like, is this something that's worth doing? And if so, like, how can we, I like to say this a lot, how can we think beyond the article? I think it's really important. I'm blessed with the fact that I have the resources that I have, with the human resources, I should say, to have this conversation where I'm avoiding what I call checkbox marketing. Checkbox marketing, especially the content, is like, oh, let's publish a blog article. But for why? Like, who's coming to my blog to read this article? Yeah, done. But what about, like, how to surprise and delight? Like, what do the people actually want to do? Like, is it actually just like social media first, which is where most people see us anyway? Like, then if it is, like, let's not write an article, then turn it into a LinkedIn post. Let's create a social media post, and that's it. Like, that's the thing. Or how do we create like a cool TikTok like video? Or how do we think differently? One of the biggest things I want to avoid that I think in my role, it's kind of my responsibility to do, is to just do what has been done because it works. There's a whole arm of marketing that does that because they have a lot of dollars that they invest in our efforts. And so they should be doing that. They're always testing, but hell, there's a lot of dollars at stake here. They're going to repeat a playbook that works a large part of the time. They should. I think my job is to test, really push the boundaries and be like, how can we stand out? Because if you continue to do the same things that have already worked before, you'll never stand out. Things that stand out now are because they're brand new. They were not done before, and that's why they stand out. And I'd rather not co-opt that historical success. I'd rather help create and forge the new success.
Well, and I think some of that is in the atmosphere you're in, being involved with the trades. You're looking at it from a perspective of, what can the trades teach technology for me to go and put that back out there? Instead of me trying to teach people what they should look for as a tradesperson, what is the tradesperson telling me they want us to do that actually gets us in front of them and makes us relevant and matter? What's up, Trade Crew? I'd like to introduce you to True Nature Meats Company, one of the newest ambassador sponsors of the HVAC R&D podcast. And they're the crew bringing real deal, fully cooked, ready to heat specialty meats straight to your door. And they've hooked up the Trade Crew with an exclusive 40% off deal on one of 2 incredible sample boxes. The first box comes with 1 pound each of sirloin steak, buffalo chicken, Carolina chicken thighs, and Mediterranean chicken. Or you can go with box option number 2 and get 1 pound each of Texas smoked brisket, pollo asado chicken, Hawaiian Kahlua pulled pork, and southern barbecue chicken. 4 pounds of meticulously seasoned, slow cooked to perfection, just heat, eat, and repeat meat. And with this special HVAC R&D offer, it's only $48 with shipping included. So treat yourself after a long day in the field. Go grab your box at True Nature Meats Company. Make sure to use discount code HVAC40, HVAC40 for 40% off your order today. You can find the link in the podcast description down below, or you can click on the discounts and promos link on all social media platforms. You can also visit hvacrnd.com, go to the vendor hub, and find it that way as well. Thanks for listening, Trade Crew, and go get that meat.
Yeah, I 100%. I try to identify what are their pain points, whether, again, I go back to this gong thing where we have conversations where people are like, yeah, I don't like, Debbie, my admin is just like overwhelmed. Like she's just doing so many things. Like how could she possibly do it? Well, that's interesting now. That is a swivel chair problem. Like this person is doing multiple jobs. Like that's a story. So now that's a story. Great. Now my biggest test is like, there's a lot of stories we can tell. In fact, the labor gap is another one too, like where I'm very passionate about that story, but like, I don't want to just for BuildOps specifically tell a story just because it's relevant to my audience for 2 reasons. Number one, like what's the business value? But number 2, like I don't want to cheapen the brand. I don't want to just co-op a new or newsjack, as you would say, something just because like it's an opportunity to get in front of people's faces. It has to be aligned to what we do as a business for me to feel confident and comfortable that we should move forward with it. So like labor gap is one great example. Like our platform doesn't solve the labor gap specifically. Like we don't quite literally match young folks to companies. So I have to thread a needle very carefully in what we talk about the labor gap. And for us, it's very much like you can get more out of the people that are on your workforce already because our platform helps you power your technicians to do more with less, et cetera. That's the through line. So when I'm talking about labor gap, I'm talking about it through that lens. That way I'm being honest about the brand and I'm not trying to like pull the rug from underneath my audience being like, oh, this matters to us too, because, we care. Like I want to make sure we do authentically, truly care. And for that, it has to have some sort of business value for us.
In talking about working and creating business value for you, what all does BuildOps actually do for the contractor? And you can speak across trades, primarily the bulk of the audience of the show is really HVAC related, but that blends into, there's guys that also do plumbing, electrical, industrial, commercial.
Yeah. I mean, we're uniquely targeted for commercial contractors. So a lot of platforms have realized the need of this kind of technology that we do for the commercial contractor space. We're the only ones that have actually done it from the ground up. So we're just like an all-in-one platform essentially that helps people take care of all the work from quoting to invoicing to reporting, everything like that, including with our integrations as well. We are just custom built for the large scale complexity of commercial work. And for folks who are interested, you can check out buildops.com, but we have a mobile app. We have the desktop app. We help ensure like whether or not you manage projects like construction, service, or both. That's a key thing. We handle that very well. So like that's actually a pretty huge thing. We took a big bet earlier on in our business where at first, because of commercial contracting, we did a lot of our focus was service specifically, which is, bread and butter for HVAC for sure. Like that is fantastic for them. But our founders took a big bet and started investing in projects and construction as well, because we saw that as a need. And that has certainly been revealed as a wonderful value prop for us, not just for folks who just do construction, but the folks who are looking to try to branch out and do all the things. Because now our system talks to all those things. Because imagine like you're doing something like a new construction and all of a sudden like the handoff between the people who are doing the new projects to the people who are doing the maintenance and the service is so much more seamless when you have a system that talks to one another. And now you can quite literally like, one of the things we have, for example, in our system is like AI recommendations and pull through work, essentially, where our system can help identify areas of opportunity for new work based on just like a visit. So you're visiting the shop, the technician creates notes for the visit. While they can certainly identify upsell opportunities, the AI will as well, and then flag that and tell the back office about that, and then they can set that all up and create a quote, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, we essentially our system helps commercial contractors move work forward and I won't swear, but get done.
You can say it.
Get shit done.
You can get shit done on this show. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and talking about how it moves from a new build out to service. Yeah. I'm guessing when you do a new build out, let's say you change 6 rooftops or you put in 6 rooftops, you've already got model, serial, install date, right, accessories listed, all that stuff. And then I'm guessing you can take that and seamlessly integrate it into, if we're going to sell them a quarterly maintenance contract or a biannual maintenance contract, and you can build that contract, but you've already got the jobs information in there and you just flip it over and move from the next one to the other.
I mean, this management at the asset level is one of the key differentiators, right? Which is a pain point for commercial contractors specifically, where like GCs might not have that. So this is where we really do serve the needs of a unique customer base for sure. So yeah, you're right on. Exactly.
Now, do you work primarily just specifically contractors, or do you work with facilities maintenance, facilities managers, property management, anything like that involves asset management for commercial HVAC?
I mean, any of those, primarily commercial contractors though, but any of those for sure. But interesting, you said that the audience primarily here is HVAC, because that is a large swath of our customer base as well, because of just the way that our product performs essentially. But yeah, primarily we're targeted for commercial contractors. That's who we're having conversations with on a regular basis. But that does expand onto, like, for example, facility managers, building owners, et cetera, for sure. Yes.
What would you say is probably the most underrated part of what BuildOps can do for a contractor?
The most underrated part that BuildOps can do for contractors, I think it's that conversation between back office and the field, I think is one that perhaps is more the most underrated. Like, I'm not going to say that people don't complain about it or identify it as a problem. However, like, the true cost of that problem for business operations and for the ability to scale, when you're talking about, like, there's so much new work opportunities and again, labor shortage, like, you can't throw more people at the problem that fast enough, essentially. A lot of that issue is the double entry work that's happening because, you couldn't read what that person wrote in the job notes on the field or whatever it may be. There's multiple different things that are just like, everyone's accepted as like, this is part of the job, but it doesn't actually have to be part of the job. A lot of these things can be smoothed out by platforms like BuildOps that helps you just focus on the stuff that human beings should be focused on. Thank God for technology, honestly, sometimes. And so, yes, I think this idea of, like, this communication and, like, ensuring that there's everything that's happening in the field that's relevant, is visible to the people in the back office, and back and forth, vice versa, is a huge superpower for sure.
You talked about the AI functionality of it. You said we want to talk about AI. We'll use that to kind of start segueing into some of that conversation. Trade crew, I'd like to introduce you to my friends over at LiveSwitch. If you haven't heard of them, they're developing a platform specifically for trades contractors and service professionals like yourselves. So picture this. Mrs. Jones calls the office. Her furnace is making some kind of strange sound. Normally, you would just have to roll the truck and go see what's going on. But instead, with LiveSwitch, you can jump on a video call right then and there with no app with Mrs. Jones. You can see things from her perspective on a fully functional video call. You can take screenshots, you can record, and you can deliver a different experience that no other contractor is giving their homeowners right now. If you're worried about it working with stuff you're already using, you know what? It integrates perfectly into Jobber, Service Titan, House Call Pro, any of the stuff that you guys are already using. It makes it a seamless transition to add this new tool to your arsenal. Go to hvacrnd.com, visit the vendor hub, set up your LiveSwitch demo today. You can also click the link down in the description below, or you can find the link to the demo in my bio. Thanks everybody for listening to the show. Check out LiveSwitch. I promise you it is an app for you. It gives you an ability to do something completely different for homeowners that no one else is doing right now. You guys won't be disappointed. Go schedule your demo today. So the AI that's built into BuildOps,
Yeah.
is it only running a report based off service notes, or are there different ways that you can use it to identify potential other problems that you need to head off at the pass, potential other service upcoming, potential other, like you said, upsells? What exactly is it designed to do in there to build value for the future?
Yeah. So, and I mean, we are currently building out to date, like a really robust AI and like what one would define as AI in like in their mind's eye, what they think of AI today, which is very agentic, right? Like very doing a lot of work for you on your behalf. That is the things that we're building out right now. But in order to do that responsibly, in order to, again, going back to like even brand again, this product building is very much branding for sure, where you don't want to like lose trust in people. In order to build this kind of complexity and to truly build an agentic experience with where the AI can make things like assumptions on, for example, like, flagging that this asset is the use of it and like, the historical maintenance of it, or whatever it may be, like crap, like you should flag to your customer, like this is going to be a problem in the next 3 years. They should probably replace it or whatever it may be. We need to make sure that the foundation of information is solid. So that is what our primary goal is this year, is to ensure that the foundations of the platform are in place so that AI is not hallucinating and giving you crap data. But yes, to all those things those are things that we're working on and building on. And our AI currently right now does things like flags for recommendations, flags for, it simplifies things like, if you're, again, going back to the field technician, if they're English as a second language, or if they are speaking a little bit more colorful than they should, and they're using their speech to text, basically, if they're talking into their phones and leaving notes, our system will capture it and then clean it up so that it's customer facing, no matter what it is. It's in the right language it needs to be, and it's customer facing. Little things like that help just like ease life, the
Yep.
simplify life for so many freaking people. It's surreal. And those core basics are necessary right now. But then as we build on that, we need to make sure that we're doing exactly what you're saying, which is like making, this is actually interesting as a side note, like it's kind of like an internal conversation we've had. I get and I respect and I don't want to undersell the value of like really leaning into like AI from a marketing perspective, not just for BuildOps in general. I mean, like I get it because it's very flashy when people say, "Oh, it's powered by AI." My hope, my goal, and I know it's reality for BuildOps, but like in reality is like it's in within the next few years, like it's going to be silly to say like something is like powered by AI. That's the system. And that's what we're building right now, is like, it's not like there's a special thing that's just going to like apply AI to this one functional thing. The whole thing is running through this intelligent technology that's making decisions. The goal is that like human will always be in the loop. It should never make decisions that a human should be making decisions, but it should be helping you move along and make choices based on the decisions that are presented to you. So it should be saying to you like, hey, like, by the way, like, our smart dispatch is another example of like our AI, where it's like identifying who are the best people to, based on certification or proximity or history with the property. It'll suggest and filled out a board for you, but the dispatcher can have the right and does have the right to have final say on this thing. You want to make sure like the human might know best, and we don't ever want to eliminate that. But yeah, anyway, so like my hope is one day that this talk about AI is redundant to just good tech, essentially.
Well, and I think artificial intelligence isn't necessarily the way I like to frame it and how I use it, because I use it constantly. I'll use it, when I'm preparing things for the show, but
Yeah.
I'll build out an idea and I'll build out a whole concept of something that I want to talk about, or I'll build out a whole list of questions, and then I will load it and use it to help pull some of my thoughts together, because maybe I'm throwing
Yeah.
this together and I might have missed something. You know,
Yeah.
when I write, or I'll do something for the Rambling Rhino column, or do something different. A lot of times I'll write the entire article and then I'll put it in and see if there's a concept maybe I should have drilled down in more, or maybe there's something that'll help me clean up the language, or maybe it's not written to where it makes as much sense. But I never want artificial intelligence. I'd rather call it like your assistant intelligence or something. I want it to be a tool that we use as opposed to something that takes away from what we do, because I never want something to not have my voice. I never want it to not be original to how I believe or how I want things to come out, whether it's, lists of questions to an article to a post or anything else.
Right. Yeah. So like from a BuildOps AI perspective, it's going to be very much based on data. Like the overarching the position that we're going toward is much more about like data crunching and surfacing things that like a human being would probably take a very long time to do. Yep. So what are these trends? You mentioned again about like, the age of an asset or the health of it, whatever it may be. Some of these things, like someone might be tracking in spreadsheets, or they might like spend a day every month to like review notes or what have you. Like these are like arduous things that like, this is where AI can truly take off some of that work, and just like without inflecting any of its point of view or any of its voice, just like be like, hey, these are the things that like I flagged quite literally as like maybe problematic. Is this problematic? If it is, you might want to then signal to the customer that there's a problem that we should schedule for preventive maintenance or replacement or whatever it may be. I can't imagine how effective that is from a content perspective. And for marketing and like for folks who are looking to brand their own companies, yeah, I mean there are guardrails you can put into place with your AIs depending on what I use ChatGPT personally myself, but there are things that you can do to help ensure that you've got some loyalty to your voice, and you've also got like the least amount of back and forth to get to what you're looking for from at first. Prompt, if you will. So I've got like a dedicated GBTs. I created a GBT for my team specifically called the Brand Studio. And we have a brand kit, which includes our voice and tone. So it's like, these are things we talk about. We sound like this. We don't want to sound like this, et cetera. These are some words we don't like to use. For example, I don't like the words streamline and what else do I not like? There's a bunch of words that are just nitpicky here that I don't revolutionize is another word I don't like. These are like banned words on my list in my PDF that I've uploaded to this GPT. And then we have just like a rundown of like who it is. Like if I have an idea that I want to submit to this brand studio, it's like I want literally there's instructions inside this GPT to say like, when I present to you an idea, I want you to come back to me with a rundown of how this could apply to our different segments, which is like company size, and verticals. So HVAC, electrical, FLS, and like, how is this applicable to them? How could my CEO write an op-ed article for it and all this stuff? So then the singular prompt that comes back is all these like potentials. And then from there, like I start brainstorming with my team, like, is this real? This is good. And then we start going back and forth with the GPT, but man, does it give me a lot of like, it is very much like your helper assistant thing is like, it is the most effective whiteboard machine for me.
Yes.
100%. It's irreplaceable now at this point.
I use ChatGPT as well, and I do almost the same thing. I don't have a PDF uploaded to it, but everything that I've got as a different GPT that I've started,
nice.
all started with a basis of this is what I think of this, and this is how I think about it, and this is what I believe in one way, shape, or form. And I'll say, here's 5 articles that I wrote, and this is my voice.
Yeah.
So when I give you a question or I ask you a question, how do you frame it in the way that I would frame it, or how do you look at it? And the amount of things that I'll sit there and I'll just literally just spitball stuff back and forth with it because I want to think about it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
The amount of stuff that I just whiteboard with it, like you said, is 99% of what I do is a whiteboard. The rest of it, a little bit, is maybe what comes out of it, because it's just a way to like help expand my own thoughts on something that I'm thinking about. What's up, trade crew? You've heard the buzz. You've seen the press gang at every single AHR. Contractors across the country are ditching their torches for RLS press fittings, and they're not looking back. Why? Because RLS lets you finish faster, safer, and cleaner. From rooftops to mechanical rooms, crawl spaces and attics, it's a press and go solution that's leak tested, UL recognized, and proudly made in America. Make the switch to RLS and take the heat out of your installs, literally. RLS, rapid locking system, press forward and press on.
Yeah, I would say like, so now I'm putting on my management hat when I like manage other writers, including like we have a slew of freelance writers as well. And I let them know, like, I don't really care if you use AI. Like at this, we're still in this weird thing where people like are very like hesitant, like, oh, should we use AI? Like, or that like freelancers think like they're going to cheat me of dollars because of that. Like, please, like you can do more for me if you're actually using AI, please use it. However, like, as a good writer, that is the thing that I'm good at. So like, I have no problem saying like, I am good at writing. Like I know what good writing looks like. I know how to produce good writing. As a good writer, I know what's good or not. So like, if you're using AI all the time and submitting stuff and it sounds great to me, why would I care? But if you're using AI and you're not a good writer and you don't know what good writing sounds like, I'm going to see it. And so like, I don't care whether I was AI or not, it's still bad writing. Like it's got the AI tropes, sure, or whatever it may be. Like AI does not produce perfect stuff. There still needs to be a human in the loop to ensure that it sounds like yourself, but also like that it's effective and good for the medium that you're choosing. And only a human being can truly be the final act on that play, if you will. And the other thing I want to mention is like, I remember like, it was like in October. It was in October 3 years ago. Gosh, time flies by. 3 years ago must have been when OpenAI came out with ChatGPT first. And I remember starting to like test it. And this was also when like Jasper AI was already out, but like I never used it. And like I would do like, write me a 500 word article on X, like basically like throwing back to like the days where I was being paid to do keyword research. Like that was literally the ask of my clients. Write me a 500 word about walking dogs. And so I had ChatGPT do that, et cetera. And, it was crap. It was crap because the information was crap. And because I'm asking it to give me brand new information, it doesn't think. It just compiles from existing information. So it's just basically like Google on steroids. So not giving me anything unique. The more effective way to use AI is to provide it with your own unique point of view and proprietary information, whether that be data, whether it be a point of view or perspective or whatever it may be. Like you've got to give it that. And then it can find those, as you mentioned, like the themes, the things that are the common, the thing that stands out, whatever it may be. But then it's like creating something from something new because you are the one that provided it, the net new information.
No, and that's the funnest thing about it is that you can pour your thoughts into it and you can expound on your own thoughts with it
100%.
at a much more rapid pace than you physically can do it yourself, because otherwise you'll burn out trying to do it.
somewhere along the line, the last few months, actually, it's still not, the percentage wise is still more typing than not, but the amount of times I'm now just talking to my ChatGPT because it's so much easier and so much faster. Like it's removing thought to keyboard is a step. That is a step to take from what's in my head and then have to figure out like how to write it. Like at few months, like as I was using ChatGPT, I'll tell you, like, I don't know how it reads anything I write because like I am just very like, I have spelling errors all over the place because I'm just trying to type as fast as I can to think. And like, I'm too lazy to fix it. And so now I'm just talking to it because now I don't have to worry about this weird thing where I'm like mindfully like, oh crap, like I don't think it can read what I wrote because I can't read it. Somehow it does, but I would recommend folks who, if they can, talk to it because it honestly, like it removes that step. Now you just go right from brain to this thing that can process that stuff for you.
No, and that's a good tip. That's a good tip because I'm in the same way. I remember I don't think I can type near as fast as I used to be able to type because I've gotten to where I just talk to it more.
Yeah.
So as we start to kind of roll some things down, so one trade creator to another. We've talked about a lot of things, but what's really inspiring your current writing right now?
What is inspiring my current writing right now? So I've been at BuildOps for a little more than 2 years. And this past fall was the first time I actually got to go to our user conference. It was in San Diego. It's called Forge. And, a lot of our customers just go there, and certainly like our most like invested and passionate customers, like they make a point to come there. And part of my job where is just to like have conversations with them. And man, like that is what jazzed me up. I just had like singular conversations with individuals for hours, with individuals, just talking about, I don't know, like little things. Like I talked about with one business owner from Chicago, and she was just talking about how like you would think that well, long story short, like I'm very confused, like why I think I'm confused on why a customer, let's say from Chicago, would recommend BuildOps to another customer, like another contractor in Chicago, because that's a competitor in theory, right? So why would you want to give them the best possible technology? But we had a great conversation on how she literally would walk when someone was scoping us out and they found out about it, she literally invited them into their office and showed them their instance, not even just say hey, BuildOps is great, but literally showed them the books, if you will. I'm like, what? This is phenomenal. And so I just love I think what's really inspiring for me is that it is, yes, it's business, but man, it is truly some sort of almost like a Jeep wave, right? I have a Jeep and I wave to people with a Jeep. And I used to live in Vermont, and I feel like Vermont was also like a Jeep wave where if you live in Vermont, you get it. You understand it. You're living it. Hey, yeah, we're in Vermont. Things happen. I think that's like that in the trades too. Yes, there's competition, absolutely. But there's also, man, this unspoken true respect for one another. And that just really jazzes me up. I just love that.
You saying that pulls one of the most important components that I speak about on the show all the time is collaboration over competition.
Yeah.
There is plenty of work in this industry for all of us. There is no reason we should try to harm each other as opposed to work together.
Right on.
There's no reason not to.
It's inspiring because I mean, not to get gushy and stuff, but I am generally a very non-competitive person. It doesn't come naturally to me. I'm not offended by it, but it's just not a thing that comes naturally for me. It's not the thing that drives me is to beat the competition.
Yep.
And so it's much easier for me to embrace and to tell the stories of folks when it is much more of a collaboration, because it feels good for me. I can bite into that a lot really well.
This episode of the HVAC R&D podcast is brought to you by Diversitech, the one-stop source for contractors who want to simplify every job. Whether you're stocking up on install supplies, service parts, thermostats, controls, or digging into the legendary tool line from Hillmore, Diversitech has you covered. They're not just a parts supplier. They help build solutions for HVAC pros, offering pads, condensate management gear, electrical parts, replacement components, premium tools that make installs, service calls, and maintenance faster, cleaner, and more professional. Partnering with Diversitech means fewer trips back to the supply house, more time on the job, and less chance of callbacks because you're using the right gear from the start. If you want to work smarter, stay stocked up, and show up for every job ready, Diversitech is a trade pro's best friend. I know you're a writer, but what's your favorite content format right now? Writing, podcasting, video, posts? What do you, and I know you've got a podcast as well, so I guess that's a loaded question, but.
No. Well, my social media person's going to kill me for this. Video is not my favorite medium. I mean, I used to be a video person as well. Here's my issue with video and why I like the chosen one that I'm going to tell you that I like. Video demands too much of me, and I don't have the time for that demand. Yep. You're either making me read captions or making me put on my volume, and then I have to look at you. It's a lot. That's a lot of my senses all at once. And we're in a distracted world, and I'm almost always doing something else, which is why in reality, I of the forms that you gave me, I really like podcasts the most, because it's the one, I just listened to a podcast this morning. I was out for a walk. I can do my life and still consume this piece of content, and that's fantastic. Plus, I know the video podcast is a thing. It's not a thing for me. I mean, my podcast is video as well, but it's not a thing for me. I am big. I think that we all absorb information differently, so I respect that. But I am big on removing certain senses to force the retention of information. So if I'm not looking at you and I'm just listening to this podcast, I think I'm going to remember more, because now you remove this other sense from there. What was not mentioned is I think that in a perfect world, my favorite form of content is very much print and insert whatever you want for that. I still get the Seattle Times printed mailed to me every single day. I do the crossword puzzle in paper. I cannot do it on the phone. I think that brands can really stand out today with, and not just like, yes, you can do like quarterly magazines or whatever which I think are great, but like I think the more that you can do tactical, actual, I can hold these things in my hand sort of things, uh, is something. I think that, like, there's a reason why vinyl records are coming back and are huge right now. People want to own and hold things. And so that kind of content where I can actually hold that thing and look at it. I subscribe to, what is it, Contractor Magazine. I get that. Like, that's so cool. Like, I get to flip through a freaking magazine. I love that. Like, man, I love it.
Well, we're knocking on video a little bit, but I watched a video clip earlier that was Simon Sinek, and he was talking
Mm,
about Japanese wabi sabi, and he
mm,
said the the whole point of it is people have everything is getting to the point it's going to seem so cookie cutter that people are going to go back to actually wanting things that are unique and
100%.
created individually. They talked about painters and other artists that are signing affidavits that, like, yes, I truly created this, so that people know it was done by a human and it wasn't done by a computer or done by something else.
Yeah.
um, and to your extending beyond that and talking about your point of removing something, this show HVAC R&D started as a podcast. There wasn't video. And I've always stayed very, very true to the audio roots of it for multiple reasons. But one, I felt, a podcast is something you listen to. And I wanted it to originally to be a show that guys would listen to on the drive home on a Friday at 5 o'clock. And
Yeah.
they might get a good laugh. They might hear a cool story. They might get a new perspective, but they didn't have to watch it. They didn't have to have a visual aid to interact with it. They could listen and let your mind do it. Like, that's why I
Yeah.
love to read.
Yeah.
I get, you're reading print, but it's here. I know you
Yeah.
get that. So I think I love the actual classic podcast. Always have. Um, but I think, again, this entire conversation has went from beginning to end, that the primary goal of this is originality and
That's right.
being authentic and true to yourself.
Yeah.
um,
So going back to that original question, like, what are the steps that someone can do to take out, like, define your originality, define your you. For you, it's so funny, like, I know we're coming at time, but like, in his book on writing, Stephen King had, I feel like, in my mind's eye, it came from this book. It could be from anywhere, who knows? But this is the story that I tell. He asks the question, like, you have two people that you can write your stories for. It could be for yourself or for an audience. Who do you want it to be? And I'm thinking, like, at that time that I first read it, was like, for myself, like, it's for me. He was trying to say it's for the audience. And so you have to think about like what you want to write to make sure that the audience isn't bored by your ego basting, like, kind of whatever, you're going some sort of weird diatribe that doesn't really matter. And I get that. However, I do think there comes a point where it's like, it should be for you. Now I fast forward to now, who is it? Oh man. Who's that music producer with the long beard? I have his book back there somewhere. Oh God, he did like Jay-Z and
I know who you're talking about. Dang it.
I don't know where it is. Oh, here it is. Rick Rubin. Rick Rubin. Rick Rubin.
Yes.
Rick Rubin.
Yes, he also did he did Metallica too. He did a bunch of them.
The variety. I don't know. You got to find that quote somewhere, but he just talks about, like, someone asked him a question about, like, like, do you care what people think about, like, the things that you put? He's like, no, I don't care. He's like, I have an opinion. I put it forth, and luckily other people like it. I think that's the mantra people should be thinking about moving forward in this AI slop age, is like, trust what you are good at, trust what you like, trust what you're interested in. There will be you are not alone. There will be people who resonate with you. Those are the people that matter. Those are the people that matter. Don't try to force yourself into whitewashing your entire messaging to try to attract the majority of people, because then it's just going to be slop.
Oh, and not Chat GPT, but pop it in here. So here's one of his. He said, I'm doing me, and I'm showing you who I am. And you can like it or not, but either way, this is still how I see it.
Yes. And what an easier way to do the things at scale when you are doing what's authentic to you. When you start faking yourself and having to contrive into like some weird other definitions, like you're going to burn out. You're not going to want to do it. It becomes a chore and then it becomes crap. It's a direct path toward failure to begin with anyway. So avoid that path. Just be you.
RC, thank you so much. This has been a very fun conversation. I look forward to you and I doing this again on your show,
Yes.
and letting you steer the ship and throwing me around and seeing what you can do with me. But where can people follow you and follow along with what you're building at BuildOps and with yourself?
For sure. So check out buildops.com. That's BuildOps.com. That's our website. And then we're very, very active on social, specifically on LinkedIn. And I'm on there as well, RC Victorino. You can also find me at rcvictorino.com. And I talk about a lot of more like brandy content things on my website as well.
Are you going to AHR? I know you guys have a booth. Do you want to plug that real quick?
I am not going to AHR, but BuildOps is going to AHR. I don't have the information right now, actually, on like where our booth is, unfortunately. But yes, we are going there for sure.
I will, because I just put your booth on my list because I was building out my AHR stuff either.
Amazing.
So Lower South Hall, so it's SL2135. So go check out the BuildOps booth if you're making it to AHR.
Please do. We just spent a lot of time on the booth. For like the look of the booth it has some of my fingerprints on it. So I'd love you all to check it out, please.
Nice. So yeah, I'll definitely go and throw you up a social post and tag you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Answering questions and providing perspective and discussing different topics. And like I said, I look forward to us continuing this conversation at a later date. Any last words before we sign off?
No, it is an honor to tell the stories of the unsung heroes of the trade. So it is an honor to now take up some of your time to listen to me yap. So I hope you all appreciated it.
Well, thanks, man. I look forward to seeing you soon. Well, Trade Crew, that's a wrap for this episode of the HVAC R&D podcast. Huge thanks again to our guests and all the guests that keep coming back. And most importantly, thank you to you, the listeners, for being part of this wild ride. And whether you're a seasoned Trade Crew veteran or this was your very first episode, welcome, thanks for listening. And here, we're built on community, conversation, and the belief that collaboration will always beat competition. So if you enjoyed the show, do me a favor. Please take 15 seconds and like, follow, or subscribe on whatever your platform you're listening on is. Leave a comment, leave a review. It means more than you know. Please share me with your friends and your trade crew. Make sure to follow the show on Instagram and TikTok at hvac.rnd and on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Trade Hounds as the HVAC R&D podcast. Don't forget, I'll be live at the 2026 AHR Expo in Las Vegas, February 2nd through the 4th at the Las Vegas Convention Center. Catch me in the podcast pavilion at 11 a.m. Monday and Tuesday, and with the AHR Workforce Development team on Wednesday morning. Stop me on the showroom floor. Let's get a selfie. This is often the only time we get to connect in person all year. Much love to my sponsors, LiveSwitch, JPL, Diversitech, RLS, True Nature Meat Company, and W Energy. I'm your host, Ramblin' Rhino, and I'll see you next time on the HVAC R&D podcast. Peace, Trade Crew, and ramble on.